You crazy mother. Yeah.
It's just BurnEye.
Hey, Bernie, just like last week, huh?
Weekend at Bernie's.
Welcome everyone. We are back for WooWoo Wednesday again, as always, late, and it is already Thursday, but that's okay because we are here. And welcome, Hans.
Thank you much. Thank you for having me again.
Always a pleasure, my friend.
Always love being on the show and having an open forum with you about the most random conversations.
Right? Somehow
that's my secret power. I'm random, man. So it fits with WooWoo.
It really does, and I'm pretty parallel in that aspect. And well, we will get into alchemy, but being random and Hans's superpowers, we're gonna start with some of Hans's experiences and research, his trip to Peru, and a little presentation on connecting ancient, I believe, Egypt with the South Americans. Is that correct?
Egypt, it's like the calm culture. This isn't so much in the Peru pictures. These are just pictures I took when I was there in 2014 with Brian Forrester and Patricia Iwan, Yusuf Iwan, and Stephen Mailer, and some of the interesting artifacts that we discovered in the museums and at least 3 of the sites around Cusco. I didn't put together my full trip, but I will do that at some point because that's going to be another lecture I do. So, yeah.
I look forward to seeing what you have for us right now, and sure, it's going to be more than fascinating, especially what you find in these museums, what they kind of just try to hide away, put on the bottom shelves, not draw too much attention to, and most often the majority of those same artifacts, there's exponentially more in the basements and in their storage facilities, but they do slip up and, well, display some of the most interesting things.
It's
which
not letting me do it.
Technical
share screen. Allow StreamYard to share screen. Yep. Okay. Allow. It says the browser cannot access your screen. Try capturing a different screen to see if this continues.
What?
Wonder if I can upload it. Let's save this to my desktop. So at least I have it.
Strange.
Yeah, that's computers. You gotta love them and you gotta hate them. And then,
indeed. Well, please bear with us while we try to overcome these obstacles.
Third world difficulties here, folks. Third world difficulties.
Third world digital difficulties, right?
Yeah, I guess we could call it that. All right. Let's see if I can upload this. Your computer. PDFs. Chicken. Oh, yeah, they do support PowerPoint. Good. Desktop. Lima. Please choose a smaller file. God.
Gosh darn it! Every
blocking us. How big is this? It can't be that big. Command I. Anyway, what's new in your world while we're trying to load this up?
All right. Well, I guess I can take over for a momento and discuss what's been going on and why I sound like an absolute.
Browsers.
Yeah, I believe that's probably the case. So if
I'll be back in a minute.
And rejoin.
Yep.
All good, brother. We will see you then.
All right. See you in a minute.
Until then, in the meantime, we shall discuss why I sound insane and the full aspects of well, essentially, I have opened Pandora's box. What am I talking about? I am talking about what I've discovered and been engineering over the last decade with monatomics, electrolysis, and ancient alchemy, and where it all started. A combination. Well, it did start. I have to give credit where credit is due with Mehran Keshi with the Keshi Foundation, the KFSSI, and his plasma technologies. And speaking of, well, when for those that connect into the source consciousness and the plasma technologies, often you will hear and see that the individuals get very philosophical, and thus a lot of people easily pass off or ignore Keshi's technologies and works. But I can assure that they are 100% real, legitimate, and I myself spent over 6 years doing weekly Zoom working groups with the Keshi Foundation groups, where I learned about what he calls GANs, gas, atom, nano, solid state, which ties in, it's another acronym for David Hudson's ORMUS, orbitally rearranged electron molecule, or monoatomic molecules, or something like that. Anyways, fancy words for the monoatomics, and that's where I got the start, where I learned about the triple solenoid coils, about nano coating, about electrolysis, essentially, and simultaneously then stumbling upon Sir Isaac Newton's alchemy writings and the translations, specifically in regards to his 7 colored states of transmutational metals, and thus the foundation of my understanding, experiments, and discoveries, and how it all ties into Pandora's box. What am I referring to? It is disruptive technology, and that's why I myself am a little bit paranoid and sketched out, to be frank, over everything and going public with some of my claims because of what it really entitles and the levels amount of disruptive technology I have actually discovered, documented, and I guess perfected. Well, not perfected, but advanced over the last several years, specifically with not just monoatomics, but different types of fusion, as well as especially hydrogen production and the bond breaking of the H2O water into the different forms of hydrogen gas, fuel, and isotope, and different molecules of hydrogen that form, and that I have the first time I created a dead man switch, and what's on it is the different processes of breaking Michael Faraday's original electrolysis law on the level of hydrogen that can be produced with the electrical energy input, and that, well, I didn't just break it, I shattered it, and then after shattering it, I increased those levels by magnitudes of proportion.
I have a
And
question.
yes, sir, by all means.
So you were talking about breaking hydrogen
hydrogen systems in water. What do you think about hydrogenized water systems? So there's like Enagic has their K8. There's a couple of companies out that are doing this where they put out a high pH water, but it's also, in their claims, they're they're adding hydrogen basically to the water, which activates it. What are your thoughts about this alchemically?
There's absolute truth in that. I've myself done that process in several different ways. The key part to it is being able to not only test what you're making, but the effects of it, because usually you want more of an alkaline water than
Sure.
high or an acidic hydrogen based, but depending on what compound molecules of hydrogen, whether it's like H2, H3, H4, or atomic hydrogen, absolutely it can have, supposedly have good effects, but simultaneously
does it burn off quickly? That's the other question.
Yes, you
Okay,
hit on
so
the key
they're
points
always
there.
saying if you're pouring the water, out of the machines, you want to drink it like
Immediately.
immediately, because
Yeah.
otherwise the effects of it just, you still have a good 9.5 or 8.5 pH in it, but otherwise, yeah, interesting.
So that actually adds credence or credibility to their claims, and my own experiments specifically with the atomic hydrogen and how quickly it evaporates out or the
Well, it's only
opposite.
stable for so long, and then it breaks the
Yeah,
stability. Yeah, okay.
absolutely. And especially when you move it or like jar the water in some ways, a whole bunch will come out. And as soon as it's hits the surface, that it's evaporating out and no longer in the water, right? But specifically with atomic hydrogen and the little nano bubbles that you see when it produces out of the liquid water, each tiny nano bubble has a little sparkle of light in it. So you are essentially drinking sparkling light producing water in with that atomic hydrogen. So
Okay, that's super fascinating. The other question thank you. You've answered a lot of my questions around that, because I've been very curious why they claim, because of they do an electrolysis process on, I think it's a titanium plate or something, and that's what creates the extra hydrogen boost in the water system, which is very interesting. I'm talking about Enagic and their K8 devices. The Enagic machines are amazing, man. I've never tasted such amazing water in my life. So, not promoting them, but I'm just saying that I have one, so they're super amazing. The other question I had, you were talking about Isaac Newton and his writings and whatnot. What do you think of the Vonich manuscript? Out of curiosity.
I find it absolutely fascinating, and we definitely need to take another look at it, and we should do a full episode on it.
I think I have a PDF copy of it somewhere in the 15,000 million files that I have on my hard drives.
Perfect. Well, that is your homework this week, Hans. Go through all of your files.
This is the problem with search on Mac. It's like, even though I have all these external hard drives, it doesn't find anything. I have to literally go in manually and figure out where the hell I put it. And it's just been a nightmare.
I'm just kidding. But yeah, I don't know. I don't use Mac, so
I use both. I have a PC and a Mac. Actually, I have two PCs now and a Mac. So I have to for work. So it's awesome. It's awesome to toggle between the two, but man, the caps lock and the Windows key on my PC just kills me, because that's where a certain toggle is on the Mac, and I'm always hitting it. Like, damn it, that's not the same toggle. Arr. And then the other thing that bothers me on the PC is between like Illustrator and Photoshop and PowerPoint, all of the copy and move commands are different. And it's like, why couldn't you sync these
What?
up? Yeah.
Why would they do
So to
that?
copy something on Illustrator or Photoshop, I have to use Alt or Alt Shift and then drag it. But in PowerPoint, I can use Control Shift and drag it, and I create a copy. And it's like, what? Why? What? You think it'd be synchronized, but whatever. It is. It is what it is. So I
See?
have my share up finally. I think.
All right. Well,
Windows
in
there.
that case, we're putting Hans back in control. And, well, here's Hans's presentation, and I will continue with my story afterwards. Lima, Peru.
Oh, yeah. In 2014, I went down to Peru with Brian Forrester. I've known Brian since I lived on Maui in 2009. He had lived there previously and had met him there. And then he reached out and he's like, Hans, I need you to do my book covers and I'm starting to do tours. And so I really want you to get on a tour. And, I fumbled around finances and plane trips. And I'm like, how do I get to Peru? And so I ended up going in 2014, which was amazing. So you fly into Lima. Lima is the most, well, outside of Kathmandu, Nepal. Lima is one of the most chaotic cities I've ever been to. There are no straight streets. It's like you go 5 blocks and then the street cuts off to a 45-degree angle. And so finding your barriers is very difficult there, for sure.
Question. Is there like an old city Lima? Like
Yes, there is. No, yeah, there's actually a
That would be
pyramid
why.
in the middle of Lima. One of these
amazing.
not stone brick, but brick, like man-made brick style pyramids. And one of the museums actually sits on the precipice of it. All of a sudden, Dust Till Dawn comes to mind, but sitting on this old pyramid is this bar, right?
No, that's cool. Better have a
So-
picture of that. Come on.
No, I actually don't, because
Oh,
I'll get one. But Lima has some interesting sites for sure. So at the National Museum of Peru, they have this is one of the most amazing spots I've been to. This was very cool. Here's Brian. He's showing off the different time periods of what they think some of these artifacts came from that are found in the museum. But what's found in the museum is just baffling. So we've got, the flying Inca god. He's portrayed everywhere. This is on a tapestry. And then we have these pictures of what they think some of their ceremonial dress or faces looked like. And I started thinking about Nepal, because this is a depiction of Krishna or Shiva. And if you look at these depictions as well, these are very, especially the one on the left, this is very Hindu. It's hard not to see that.
Indeed.
It's
Wow.
hard not to see that. Yeah, right. And so it's like, what is the influence here? Why is there a very prominent, similarity? I can't say it's the same, but it's very similar to what you would see in India in both Shiva and Krishna, belief systems, Krishna belief systems, sorry. So we've got some of these weird gourds. These are all over the museum. No idea what this is.
So I'm pretty sure what those are is you put in a liquid into it, and then when you move it around, it makes the sound of the animal it's depicting.
Oh, how interesting. Oh, similar to when you're at like Chichen Itza and you have the people blowing the flutes, but the flutes will sound like a jaguar call or a bird, depending on what flute they're using.
Yes, sir. And they've actually found these jugs throughout the areas and attribute them to the Inca, the Maya, and a couple others.
I was very fascinated with the art in this museum because, yeah, here we have one of the shrunken heads.
Any of you that are Tintin fans on the right, you have the broken ear, the Tintin in Peru artifact or MacGuffin. That's part of that whole book. Tintin. Herg was a genius, man. He came up with stuff before it was even popular. I don't know where he was getting all this from, but the shrunken head just blew my mind because it's like, oh, these actually these exist. This is real. More tapestries. Here we have on the left. They also have another version of this in Cusco, which is where I have my other picture. Well, it's actually the same picture, but it's from. I think these are from all over. I think this is actually from Cusco. But on the right, so on the left, you have the ancient Inca or pre-Incan glyphic writing. If you notice, there's similar shapes on this tapestry, but none of them are in any particular order. And so this is spelling out a story. On the right, we have the Quipu. And so the runners would run the Inca Trail. And if you're outside of Machu Picchu and you're looking at how the Inca Trail went up the side of a cliff on pegs, you've just got to scratch your head. These people were running this. Yeah, they would send runners, and the runners basically would run from township or, principality, kingdom, principality with messages, and they were all in these strands of knots. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if anybody has ever been able to decipher this, or even AI, what these knots represented, because obviously each one is placed at a different level and in a different color. And so who knows? This could be, crop formations, this could be politics in the middle, this could be, population control on the right. We really don't know, but it's very interesting that this was their form of communication, the Quipu.
Right, and their form of actual writing, and that the conquistadors slash Jesuit order, when conquering the Inca, destroyed all of, or as much of that as possible, to the point of rewriting their history, claiming they had no records, no written languages. And
they wanted the gold. Come on. But there were many civilizations before the Inca, and so the Inca inherited a lot of the ancient cultures that were there, and you see that in some of the architecture, which I'll show shortly. So
very nice.
These are some of the medallions that they would wear. Pretty amazing. The one in the middle I was very particular about because this is a smoky rose quartz, or a smoky quartz. And that thing is massive. I can only imagine what that weighs.
That's super cool.
Then we have these really interesting headdresses. The one on the right looks very much like what we see depicted in Egypt with the Hittites. So they always would wear these metallic headdresses.
A metallic and cone-shaped, nonetheless.
Correct. Yeah. The one on the left is also very reminiscent of Egypt. We'll get into that because there are three other pieces that I swear come straight out of Egypt. But even what we're seeing here, with
that could potentially be telling a story with their knotted language, right?
Correct. Yeah, it could. It's interesting you say that. Let's zoom in on that. I never actually thought about that.
Right, with like the placement and the amount of those symbols with the lines. Oh, 100%. That's what that is.
Interesting. Oop. I guess I moved things out of frame. All right, so let's get into the next. So this is actually outside of Lima. When you're heading toward the Sacred Valley, you come into this little spot near the red. It's an aquifer that crosses the road. It's the Inca Gate is what they call it. And so there's this water aquifer very similar to what you would see in Roman times going across the top of the wall. And in the museum there, they have the Stele Ramunde. And so I retraced this from this, and this is what you see. And so one direction is interesting, but if you flip it upside down, it's also interesting. It's the breath, it's the 9 levels or 7 levels of the chakra breath, or the
Oh
7 levels
wow,
of the chakra moving up. And so
very
what actually is being depicted here? Is it a fire dragon, or
the tree
or
of life
or is it a
potentially.
massive headdress? Right, exactly, the tree of life. And so this is the La Stella Ramundi, and I was very fascinated by this piece because it's a relief, um, which means that instead of being engraved into, all of the
It's
engravings
carved
stick
out
out
of.
of. Yeah, exactly. And so
That's
that
fascinating.
that to me
And
was one of the most fascinating pieces that I came across there, and it's
definitely got a
it's
lot of
it's like three
encoded
feet
info.
wide by 6 foot tall, and
Wow,
probably
that
about
big.
a half a foot deep.
What?
Yeah.
That's mind blowing. And it I can't help but see some parallels of it almost looking like technology to some
Oh, correct.
degree.
That's why I had to draw it out. I was like, I went into Illustrator. I'm like, I'm gonna retrace this,
It,
and I
it
spent hours doing it, but there it is.
that's amazing work, Hans, and good on you for doing so that we can actually see uh, lots of the details and almost resembles what some of the supposed
Well,
quantum or
but he's holding
supercomputers
like
look like.
two spheres that have this electrolysis coming off the top of it. So what is that? Plus all of
Right?
the multiple faces, or some of them are upside down or not, and it's like, okay, this is interesting because when you flip it on the right side, it's all these faces going downward, and so it's very interesting. I've always thought this was a very interesting piece that came out of Peru, and nobody, well, of course they claim that it's from XYZ culture. It's not Inca, it's pre-Inca. I should
Absolutely.
I should look up what it is, but very, very fascinating because you don't see a lot of pieces like, actually you don't see any other pieces like this in Peru. So here we are, in the bottom of the Larco Lima Gold Museum. You have
Oh my.
more headdresses, and so some of them have these shales on them all the way up to the top. Obviously it's been broken off. There's another one here on the right, and you see this in Egypt with a lot of the
Pretty
headdresses in
different.
Egypt. They're very, very similar, especially the headdress of Amun right here, especially without hieroglyphs on it, because oftentimes you see it with hieroglyphs or other aspects. But here, you clearly see it. I think this is at the Temple of Isis, the headdress of Amun.
And
It's clear.
that's
It's
made out
clear as
of
day.
gold?
Yeah.
Made out of gold, the giant V-shaped chest piece as well as gold. And if you were like up
But
in cloud,
look at this here on the right. Okay.
oh, it's identical. But
So
the
if you
what
would
I was
flip
gonna
it
add,
backward and hold it as a cape over your back, these two pieces would stretch over your chest, right?
yeah.
Okay,
Oh, I see
so
what you're saying.
right here
100%.
in the middle piece, right
Yes,
here. Yeah,
it's I see. It's a back piece, not a chest. I see what you're saying.
but
100%.
they have it displayed as a chest piece. But
Okay.
the mouthpiece is the one thing I just cannot fathom. Let me see if I can zoom into that. What is that?
It probably is a guard of the electrical charge. And what I was gonna, well, what to say is that if you were, say, up in like a charged, like cloud or like it, high humidity and there's electrical storm going on, that it would almost seem with that how high up the two gold rays go off of the headpiece, that potentially it would form a Jacob's ladder maybe of a arc between them, or coming down. And like I can't help but feel it has something to do with static charge and
Why the
plasma.
two pillars? Would each one create a positive and a negative
Yeah,
coming down?
exactly. Yeah, it would.
How interesting.
It's two electrodes. One would 100% anodize, the other cathodize, and That's exactly how you get what's called the Jacob's ladder, with the arc going up, sort of thing.
Okay, interesting. Appreciate that.
Right?
So these are some of the other gourds that you find in the museum.
Yeah,
These to
those
me
are
look very
specifically.
Asian, especially the one
Sorry,
on the left and the one on the right.
sorry to interrupt, but those
Oh,
are
no worries.
specifically the ones, especially the one that has the dual in the middle, the
Yeah,
double
that's the most
up.
fascinating because it's
When
like,
you put liquids in those, they make those specific sounds and replicated noises. So maybe it's a call or something, who knows? But uh, you see identical ones that are in the shapes of different animals, and they
well,
literally make
the
animal
nose
calls.
and this space above the nose is also open, and so I'm curious about that. As are the eyes in this one, but this is a closed vessel.
Right? So clearly, with those open portions, they're not for like carrying water from the river, sort of thing, right? It's
No,
like
not I wouldn't imagine they were. Yeah.
it's for the acoustic properties.
So then we have some of the elongated skulls. These are all in the Cusco Museum. Just fascinating because, again, the scientists of today tell us these are all head bound, but the capacity of the brain is,
Scientists,
yeah,
more like
exactly.
gatekeepers. Real science, you look at it, and shout props to Brian Forster. And
Oh,
Cusco
I was
Museum,
so.
is that his museum or the one he works with or
It's
whatever?
no, he works for a museum in it's outside of Nazca. It's in Paracas, and
Right,
so
right,
they
practice.
always have all the grave robbers will bring their stuff there because they know they can sell it to the museum. If they sell it to tourists can't leave the country with it, unless obviously they're paying a huge vig. So they'd rather sell it to the museum because they know they can make money and it's going to be preserved. And so a lot of these end up in the museums, which is amazing. Thank you, Brian,
Amazing.
for
All
your
right,
amazing
as
work.
opposed to the private museums, right? As opposed to
Correct.
being bought out and hidden by such institutes as the Smithsonian.
We
But
won't talk about them anyway.
yeah, but
Another
props to, before you move on, to Brian Forster, and that he's specifically documented and shown that these skulls literally have a third like bone plate or whatever where the
no,
humans can
they
go
don't
through.
have a central
Oh, they're
plate.
missing. They're missing
They're
it.
missing a plate, and
Right.
that's why they're not head bound. And when they did a grain survey of a human skull, they poured like rice grain into it and measured how much rice grain filled it. And then they filled these. It was unbelievable that it's like 1.6 to 1.8 times the capacity. So when you're doing head binding, it's like a balloon. Your balloon has so much within it, okay?
Before it bursts, and that
Before it
the
bursts. But if
headbound
you
one,
squeeze that balloon and you make it oblong, it still has the same internal capacity.
the same volume, and that
Correct.
the headbound ones that are documented
They're
have
much,
the same
much
volume as
larger.
humans, and these ones, like you said, are 1.6 to 1.8 times larger volume mass of brain density.
Correct. And so you can't have these headbound. Plus, they've also now found fetal skeletal remains with cranial enlargement. This was found in Romania as well as Paracas and small children. So it's like, yeah, you're not doing this. I'm sorry. Some of it, I will admit, is cradle bound because they were trying to mimic what they were seeing. And you get this a lot in the Pacific Northwest, where I'm at, with the flatheads. They did this a lot up outside of Seattle, up into where like Vancouver, BC area. This is all the flathead region. They
Really?
definitely were cradle boarding their children. Yep, they would put these straps on their heads.
Right, and also in Africa, some of the tribes and stuff.
Africa and also in Micronesia. Yeah,
Yeah, and really, it makes sense that if there was this original species or subspecies or race or whatever the heck they were, and that it was the pharaohs and kings and rulers of before, that these different tribes that still have memory and lore and legend of these previous peoples, that they would be deifying their own, trying to mimic them, right?
Interesting comments in the chat. Thanks, guys. Yeah, no, the Isle of Malta for sure. There's also cranial, or not
Found
cranial
a
head
whole
bending, but
bunch.
yeah, exactly. Anyway, moving on. More amazing gold pieces with lapis lazuli added to it, as well as other stones. This one really fascinated me. So this depicts a woolly mammoth crushing
Oh,
somebody.
wow. It
So
totally does.
when were there woolly mammoths in South America?
And with the double spout as well, I bet it also makes the sounds that we're going to have to try to get that thing filled with liquid and see if it actually makes a woolly
That's
mammoth.
interesting. I,
Oh,
I appreciate that. I've never actually considered that these had a sound quality to them. So that's a new thought. Here we have, family of friends, the hidden fortress right here, right? Again, with
wow.
open valves, so there's the sound quality. If you close this and you close that, there's definitely sound quality. But this one is interesting because there's another piece in this set. We'll get there shortly. So this is a gold piece as well. So you have the hands for ears, right? I feel what
Oh,
I
no, look,
see.
there's still
I feel what
ears.
I hear.
The hands are above the ears directly.
Well, right, but it's like that. I feel what I see, right? It's
Got,
this
I
it's
gotcha.
magic. Yeah, yeah. But this is gold. This is not one of those other vases, which I thought was interesting. So they were making these also out of gold, and so why? And what was the purpose? More gold stuff from the Lima Larca Gold Museum. I
Ooh,
just
please zoom in. And the one on the left looks Asiatic, no?
Oh, of course, yeah.
The one in the middle, very, very interesting.
It's like a birth between God and human, because what's in the center, right? It's this child, or a face that's breathing life for the first time, vomiting, whatever. That's a child. But you have this, you know, bird creature and a humanoid on the other side. So
Right? And the fangs on that one,
yeah, right.
interesting.
Yeah, no, these were the most amazing pieces that I found when I was there. And so, how does this keep moving? I guess I moved it anyway. We'll put it back in the center. Moving on, other pieces. So again, here you have like these samurai Japanese motifs on the right.
Just fascinating.
All these egg shapes.
Oh, yeah, zoom in on that.
This is also part of the gold museum. This is all in gold, like 22 karat, I believe.
What is that? Did Crane from Ninja Turtles
Well, you can see the brain being activated, right? And then the hands become these electrolysis devices that are activating other things around it. And then it's sitting over water, and so under the water is this frog creature. So it's like the
just
sun over the sun
fascinating?
over the water. Yeah, no, seriously, fascinating. That's why I'm sharing these, because it's been a while since I've actually looked at a lot of this stuff. Some more
Appreciate.
some more of these interesting gourds, or maybe they're not. They're just figurines, but they all had open holes in the top. So
And like on the head, like That almost looks like the one on the left, like Turkish Ottoman, almost Ottoman-ish. The hat
Interesting.
style,
Yeah. But each one
orange
is
chin in the
very
middle.
different. This one's holding a gourd, right? This one's holding like a yama or something over its back, but still that same kind of
Yeah,
almost Suf or what do we call them here? The Shriner kind of hat going
yeah,
on.
yeah.
Yeah. Some more of these. Yeah.
And the
Here we
hands
have
again.
holding the tablet with the hand up. This is very much, Statue of Liberty on the right or left here.
Almost a
Somebody
monkey.
that's crouched over the bowl, but it's obviously an open vessel. Same with this one.
And the right one just looks so African,
Oh,
no?
exactly. Yeah, very much so, especially with the headdress. Yeah, I agree. Couple of bowls. This bowl is about 2 feet wide.
Wow,
So yeah,
pretty big.
it's big. This one's probably a bit larger, actually. It's like, what is going on there? So you have the serpent in the
The
middle,
classic symbols, the spiral and the like
and
bolt.
then all these lightning bolts or like electrolysis. And then, however they were holding this or retaining it, something went through this and held it up. So this could have been used for fire. It could have been used for alchemical process. Don't know. A couple more.
Again,
That
almost a
that the owl is very curious. Yeah.
oh yeah. And like a doorway or portal almost on the left one there around him, that
That's what
archway.
yeah, it's like the owl though, the eyes.
Oh, for sure. And then the right side again, almost looking Ottoman-ish.
Ah, interesting.
Can you zoom in on that guy a little bit? See the symbols on the top? Oh, they are the same-ish. Interesting. The
Like a
eyes.
circle within a circle that's connected. Could be seeds, could be who knows? We don't really know the language or the technology that they're depicting here. If it is technology, who knows?
Agreed. Could well
So the
be.
one on the right is the one that's the most fascinating to me because there's a depiction of this in Andor in the first season where one of the characters is being repaired by a four-armed creature. And he also has the bulbous eyes. And so art depicts art, right?
Fascinating.
Yeah, this one,
Ooh.
right? So what's going on there?
And then on the left one looks very like West Coast indigenous, like northern.
Very much so. Yeah, I agree.
Fascinating stuff.
So I'm just showing you all that there's a possibility that, cultures are traveling across the ocean for long periods of time. There's a few other pieces here, but they're like sexual, so I won't show them.
Appreciate that.
Yep, no worries. But they had a lot of a like Kama Sutra style gourds in a part of the museum. It was very, very fascinating. So here we are looking at some of the stonework in downtown Cusco. This is another part of the backside of the museum, and they had thousands, like row upon row of these things in the back of the museum that nobody's seen the light of day of.
What? Right? Like I called it. Called it.
Yeah. So here we are in Cusco. I hung out with Wilco, amazing shaman. It was very late night. he brought out all his stuff, blessed all of us. But just looking at this, you're like, oh my god, you got this massive, amazing green stone at the bottom.
Can you zoom in? That's real fascinating.
I'll move it up.
Like
What
jade
is
or
that?
jasper? What exactly is it?
Correct.
Wild.
And then all of his other shaman tools and whatnot. Wilco
So
was one of the most amazing people I met. He traveled with us for half of our tour. I mean, he kept showing up. So Brian obviously brings him on to talk about ancient sites and civilizations in the area, which I always thought was fascinating. Here I am with Stephen Mailer. Woohoo! Anyway, here we are on the streets of Cusco, out in front of the hotel that we're at. Cusco is an amazing place because you can see there's still Inca wall here, but then you have modern, and so you see this everywhere where the modern replaces the previous, which replaces the previous.
right, and that's clearly showing Inca work, and that also in Cusco there's the polygonal megalithic
Yeah,
wall
we'll get to that
stonework,
shortly.
right? But civilization on top of civilization on
So
top of
this
civilization.
entire cathedral was built out of ancient Inca or pre-Inca stones that were located in Cusco. Just to give you an example of repurposing. Here we have recently they've talked about tunnel systems underneath Cusco. Here I'm showing you that they had this open on the street and they were showing that there was a tunnel system that went down. Here you see it going down.
Oh
all the
wow.
all the
Oh,
old
wow.
architecture, yeah, because they were trying to rebuild the sewer system. And so yeah, that
Wow.
to me was fascinating because
And
it was
it's
like,
in the
oh, we didn't know there
megalithic.
were tunnel systems under Cusco. And I'm like, I'm showing you this from 2014. There are tunnel systems under Cusco. How far they go? No idea. We're not allowed to go down there. But here you actually see the old wall that
Right,
was
the
there.
megalithic
Yeah,
structure.
oh, all this is megalithic. Yeah, exactly. And this is underneath Cusco, and they needed to
Epic.
repair their, fiber optic line and sewage lines, and then realized, oh wait, there's something else here as we're digging. Anyway, so here we are at the Coricancha. Obviously, none of these bricks are the same size, but they all align. Like, this is the most perfect structure I've seen. I've been to Egypt, I've seen perfect structure, but nothing like this. This wall is perfect. You cannot fit a credit card or a dollar bill between any of these slits.
Wow, eh? Earthquake proof, and like you're showing there, there's like
This
reliefs
is
coming
this
out
is
of
part of the Inca Roca Wall, which is in the middle of Cusco. It's probably the oldest site. This is considered not Urapancha, but Hananpancha, I think. Urapancha is where they make stuff out of the earth, and Irapancha is where they actually are building these structures, and then the third realm is what the Inca did. And so here you have all these blocks that fit so precisely together. But because of an earthquake, it shattered them apart, and you can see that they scoop underneath, and the block above scoops underneath. And so it's like, wow, they really thought
they're
this through.
literally fitted into each other.
Yep. Here we have the famous on the right, the 13 angled stone. Somebody defaced this recently, which I'm really saddened about. I haven't actually looked up
That's
what
really
happened.
sad.
But you also have, these interlocking bricks that just don't make sense. And this is found all over Peru. Again, here. So we're
And the same notches that are found in Egypt as well, correct?
not just Egypt, but elsewhere.
All
And
over,
so
yeah.
what were the notches for? And when you go up to Ollanta Tambo, you see them very prolifically. Sorry, I don't have any of the photos of that. Here we have the 13 stone again that was defaced recently. Really saddened by that. But here you see that they're building shapes within the wall, right? So you've got
Depiction of animals.
the panther and the snake. And these are found within the stone structure of this wall. However, taking a photo like this, that's an amalgamation, because you only have like at least at least 8 feet across from this to the next wall. So it's
Wow.
very hard. It's like being in Egypt in Hathor's temple or whatever in Dendera, where you're going down in the catacombs and you're trying to look at the Dendera light bulb, and you have like 2 feet that you're standing in. I mean, it's really small. So how do you get a photo of that without, kind of altering it in a sense? But here we have some examples of how tightly fit these things are with precision. And then it's like they went through and scooped out all the alcoves so that it had like a resonance. And I've always thought that was fascinating. So here's one of the walls that was broken apart on the right by the earthquakes that have happened there, and you can see that they're curved going all the way back to structure behind it. So there's a filler behind it. Here we have the example, Stephen Mailer on the left, of the old world meets the middle world meets the new world, right? You can see the repair job. This is not the same culture making.
Right, like, yes, those are the ones that made the larger blocks that they can't still do, but they somehow did it, right?
Well, they tried to fill it in and make it work.
Exactly.
So again, this is where the earthquake shifted a lot of it, and you can see that these are curved, and they fit the curve of the blocks above them, which is really interesting. And they also curve back. So a lot of people think, oh, this is all geopolymer, and there's a good question about that for sure. What is geopolymer? It's like, okay, they were making bags of cement, and then they were burning the bags off, but those bags still would have left a residue in between the blocks. There's nothing. So I have a hard time believing that. These are more modern Spaniard structures, but I thought they were super fascinating. The store is like actually created a shirt using this glyph here. But you have the Lion's Gate going into an older structure, right? So this is new Spaniard versus the older structure around it. And then you have some of the local art on the right, and I was fascinated by that. I was like, oh my God, that's really amazing. So here we are at the core concha. We're looking down one of the tubes that has been cut out. You can obviously see that 2 structures here have come together, right? And then they drilled this hole through it. And the question is, how? Another one, right?
Indeed.
And so this is at the core concha as well. On the left, you're looking through the different walls that are in the middle of it, and they're going back 4 or 5 spaces. So you have this false window that ends up looking out at reality in the back corner. But on the right is another one of these drill tubes that's there, and you're like, what is doing this? Because you can see that something clearly was dragged through it while it was drilling. You have these 3 striations. Yeah, exactly. This is one of the weirdest structures. Nobody knows what it is. They've built it up as a door, but you have all these strange holes that connect as if there were copper wiring or some other wiring that connected to other structures. But these holes don't go anywhere, and so this would be like a solid fill with some sort of
pipe or wiring or something.
Yeah, exactly. I can't quite fathom what
Just
it
like
is.
we do today.
because you see this and it's like, okay, these holes actually go through to the other side. These do. And so do these. You can see where they come out. So there's something that's going through there that's being held.
Piping 100% must have been.
But what is that, right? Yeah. No, Tokar. No, please don't touch. So here you just have a random block sitting in the Coricancha. What is that? Come on.
With a perfect square carved out.
What do you think that is? I don't know, but something I've obviously
Something clearly fitted
wrapped
into it.
around this, but this also gives the question of what the knobs were used for, right? For holding things. Also at the core concha, there's a tunnel system underneath this, but there's this weird octagonal box, right? What is this? And this is the size of a
Fascinating.
large bathtub, but it sits over a tunnel system that goes into the core concha. There's no holes in it. So what was it used for? Except this structure here on the right. What is this, right? That's the only thing that comes in and out of it.
Once it was sealed with the lid.
Ah, well, no lid's been found, but now we're in Cusco. Cusco's beautiful. You're at 13 or 12,000 feet. Man, the rare air up there is crazy. I thought it was bad living in Kathmandu at 4,800 feet, but Cusco takes the cake. And here you are at the Museum of Cusco, but this is one of the old walls. So this is very similar to what you see in. Well, we've been to Cusco this whole time, but this is what you see in downtown Cusco is this like perfection of masonry. None of these pieces are the same size, as you can see, but they all fit together perfectly. So this is something that possibly, as you said, has to do with anti-earthquake device.
Yeah, absorbing the energy and the polygonal design of them for sure.
Yeah. We left in the morning from Hotel Ruines, the Ruins Hotel. Great name. And we went up above Cusco to this random cave. And this cave has some fascinating artifacts inside of it. They cut this out of the wall to get in there. You can see this here on the left. But inside is this platform, and above it is another cave. But they cut this out of the solid bedrock. Why? What was the purpose? So here I am above that. I'm in the upper cave looking down at Brian and some of the people on our tour. But you can see this water channel or whatever they're using to come in here, which is this up here on the upper left. That's me standing on the other side of it looking at it. So I'm actually standing where I am here on the left. Stood up and took a photo of that. But what is this? Why is this channel dug out here?
Right? Like so much resources that would have had to go into constructing that, whatever the means were, that it's like it has to have functionality.
For sure. And so here you have the evidence of the tool marks, right? So whatever is plowing through this is a curvature blade. It's very big. And
Are you able to zoom in on that a little bit, please?
Oh, for sure. It's vitrifying, and you can see the striations from where the pressure was. It's vitrifying whatever it was plowing through. So this is bedrock. I can't remember. It's a form of granite. This isn't limestone like you see in Egypt. So whatever is cutting this is plowing through this at a high rate. It's leaving its arc, and that arc is huge. But it fits within, the structure beneath it. Again, more cut marks from this site.
So strange. And
Oh,
iron
for sure.
oxide.
Why? I mean, what is the purpose here? This is no clue. So here's my analysis of this. You've got tool marks, tool marks, tool marks. This is the one I just showed you. And then you have these other tool marks, and they're very obvious because they've left a track that's now been somewhat filled in by dust and debris over time.
And it
But
looks
this
almost like vitrification or something.
oh, because of whatever's plowing through it is moving at such a high rate that it's caramelizing or vitrifying the rock because of heat, right? That's heat transfer.
Yeah, but just like the physics chemistry of it couldn't be a metal because the metal would melt before
The rock does. Yeah,
stone,
of course.
right?
No, exactly. You're 100% correct with that. Yep. So what are they cutting this with, and how, and why is it leaving this kind of scarification? Again, this one in the middle here is this structure, is this here. So it's like this is melted.
Do you have to interject? And I know that you're not quite on board with it, but it could parallel also be not vitrification, but solidification if it was indeed cast from a chemical crystallization process that we are completely unaware of at this point.
There is that, but we're in a cave. So this is deep in the bedrock of the natural surroundings. That's the only issue I have with that. It's like this is cut out of the cave
Fair.
already.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah, that's the only thing, because it's like what is this scoop mark? I mean, that was what I showed here, right? What is this?
Oh, can you zoom in a little bit though? Because there's
And we did
it could be
but
massive.
you can see how it bends around into the girth. And you can see the striations. Let me see if I can.
But the block directly below it, like, is it massive macro, like megalithic?
This structure is probably, this area is about a foot. That's about a foot wide.
Okay. Yeah, I see.
But
what
this
you're
is
saying.
in this cave. I mean, it's super random. Again, here we have my analysis of these things. Like what are they? Why?
Right?
What are they-
Why? Like so much effort, so many resources, regardless of method, had to go into it that the only logical, sane conclusion is that these had to have functionality and purpose for them to dedicate those sort of resources into construction.
Yeah, tool mark 4 is this slide. Oh, sorry. Damn it. Went too far back. It's this slide here. Okay. So tool mark 4, which is here, right?
Yeah,
That's the structure. That's the structure right here. And this is looking into this
wild.
cave on the left. Mind blowing. So this is on the way up to Sexy Woman. So you're driving up the trail, and it's like all of a sudden, hey, let's stop here, and we're gonna go see this cave. It's like, what is this? So this is the analysis that I put together years ago, but it's like you can obviously see that something is cutting all of this. There's obviously tool tracks. They're vitrifying the rock on many of these structures. Tool mark 3 is right here. So you have this here. You have the curvature of the blade that doesn't obviously fit within this structure, so that doesn't make sense.
I see what you're saying. Do you mind zooming in a little bit on
this
that?
part? Sorry.
So, where you've got so there's 4 separate types of tool marks, or the same sort of tool marks that you've
They're all
got.
very similar. It's a blade that's cutting like 2 Mark 2, 2 Mark 1 here, which is
I
here.
see. I see what you're saying.
2
Okay.
Mark 3 is this weird elongated structure, which is this zoomed in. And then 2 Mark 4 is actually on the top surface of sorry. Where am I? This here. So 2 Mark 4 is right here. It's on the top surface of that, which is this.
That
2 Mark
is
4.
truly mind-boggling.
But what's the purpose of this cave, right? It's like,
Exactly, like trying to make sense of it all, of like, what are we actually looking at? What could have been the functionality, and what were the processes and technologies used in constructing all of this?
oh, 100%. So across the street from this is this. This is literally across the road from this cave.
Wow.
So here you have massive tool mark going through this. It's like,
So
what is that?
so if you zoom in on that, Hans, that I am almost 100% sure of is not tool marks, but indeed the remnants from the casing of a pour, and the like what the wood
Which wouldn't
would
surprise
be,
me. This is a massive like
right? And that's
boulder
on the
kind of
outside.
structure.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
So that's on the outside. So this is potentially cast geopolymer, and those are the indentations in
Well, you kind of see that in
of,
the weird scoops as well. It's like over time, this is
yeah, but from the what the heck is it called? The forms, the actual wooden metal forms that are put in.
We did a show on this. That's right. Yeah.
That,
Interesting. Again, same structure. That's that tool mark I was
and all
talking
the
about.
holes and bubbles on this stuff, like that's definitely resembling a pour of a geopolymer mixture. The framework, right? The stem wall. Like that literally
This
looks
is
like
literally like 100
concrete.
feet from that cave that I was just showing you. It's across the road from it.
Wild. So that I would, over the cave carved or cut with some sort of high technology, and then this I would postulate is definitely poured geopolymer, and why you see all the bubbling.
Oh,
And
for
just the
sure. Like all these huge
impressions,
pockets. It's like
yeah.
pore formation
And then the straight
or
lines
weak
at the
structure
very
over
top
time that's degenerated. Yep, I agree with
that
that.
rides out. And if you look at the very top right, those straight lines going down through it, those again would be impressions from
This one you're
form
talking about
structure.
here,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that there's a couple more just to the
Up
left
here
of
as
it.
well, same thing. Yep.
Right, and
Interesting.
that's where you put like the wood forms or whatever, and it pours around it. And it would also explain at the very bottom left, you see what looks like some of the concrete slag. There's the straight line. So move your mouse down just an inch or so, a little bit more. Yeah, see that square thing in the middle, or this rectangle?
Oh, this here.
Yes. And you see what looks like where the wood would have been, and then the slag that's
Because you
piled
have
out of
these
it.
defined definitions. Yeah, interesting.
Like that's
I've
literally what you see in concrete pours today on buildings.
never thought about that. Wow. Thank you. That's why we're having this discussion. I've
Absolutely,
never
right?
shown these photos to anybody. It's like kind of random.
But
So now we have Fort Peru. So this is the red fort. You can see where the old structure was recombined with newer structure, which is recombined with newer structure. But this is considered the red fort. This is like right off the road. I mean, you're driving into the Sacred Valley, and it's like right there. You're like, oh well, we're stopping here. We're gonna check out
fascinating.
the red fort.
Do you mind going back first and zooming into the top left? what appears to be straight terraces built into the slopes of this picture.
Oh, up here.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Yeah, let me see if I can do that. Hold on. These photos are huge, so I'm sure I can.
Yes, high res. Yeah, look at that. You see all of those lines. That's not pixelation. That is 100% terracing. And that's the identical
Oh yeah, this
style,
is what they attribute to the Inca, and so the Inca were masters of terraces.
right?
But
But we know it's much older. And why I instantly identified that is it's identical to the terracing that I discovered at the Medicine Hat Badland Guardian geoglyph sites in Alberta.
interesting. So here you have the build of the wall, the rebuild of the wall. I mean, you can see where they rebuilt it. It's smaller stones. But the larger megalithic stuff is really impressive. It's oh my god. So
And always at the bottom.
here's what you see when you go up close to it. So you can see where they picked all this out. But what are the burn marks, right?
No doubt.
That's up close at the Red Fort. Again,
And look at all of that on the right side, the burn marked aspects of like, well, that one, but then the next picture that you just put up on the right side of that wall.
oh, correct. Yeah, yeah. So you have megalithic structure that's been reconstituted by smaller stonework that doesn't fit the same as the megalithic structure. And that's that's kind of crude for megalithic structure, but it all fits symmetrically. The rest of it on top of it does not.
Right? Absolute polygonal structuring.
Again, Red Fort. So here you have, Urin Pacha, the earthwork on Pacha, the work on top of it. And so they were trying to mimic and place stones that fit metrically above what was naturally there. But then you have the recreation work on top that just didn't work.
Very apparent.
Yeah. Same here. This is also at the Red Fort.
Just the scale and size.
Oh, they're massive. Yeah, correct. Some looms. Anyway, that was at that place. So here we have Zone X. Zone X is one of the most
What?
interesting spots I've ever been to in my life.
Yes, please zoom into this. Like,
So this is a
what?
model of the area around Zone X. So they were creating a model in the rock or cemented where they knew where the water flow would go. They knew where they wanted to terrace things. We do this today with Legos and other things. We build these small models and like, oh, this looks amazing.
So this is a map you're saying of like the
Yes,
overall
correct.
surrounding of like the valleys or whatever.
Correct.
Wow. But so here's the thing, like, how do they claim that they were able to make that without the technology or ability to get like a full 3D topographical map of the area that they're doing and then putting it into that? Like you need 3D rendering software essentially for that, especially that quality and depth. Like,
you
what?
got stairs, you got platforms, you got waterworks that come through. And then you go into the cave here, and inside of the cave here is this kind of stuff.
What?
That's in this cave right here. So this is the massive structure. I mean, this is huge. So you walk into this structure here, and you're basically seeing this. There's platforms. Should zoom out because there's a lot to see here.
What? And those cut, like, look at the size of that chair. Like, that's for a giant, if that is a chair or a throne.
Who knows, right? And then you have these massive cut marks, siphoning it off. You have these alcoves here on the left that are within this structure underground. It's like Zone X. That's why I guess that's why they call it Zone X. They just
Zone X. Don't look at Zone X. Don't look at the X. No.
Zone X Pro. Yeah, look it up. So here we have Sexy Woman. We have the mushroom cave that goes into Sexy Woman.
I didn't know about that part.
And you have all these weird upside down staircases or cut marks. Everything seems to like have flipped in a lot of portions. Yeah. And you can see the cut marks underneath all
clearly,
of them.
yeah.
So what's cutting this, folks? I mean, this is a primitive culture. Another site at Sexy Woman. Obviously
Sexy Woman?
Above. Yeah, this is Sexy Woman, yes. Now, Sexy Woman is above Cusco, so it's at 13,000 feet, but it sits above Cusco. This is on the far corner of it. Here you have these weird platforms, broken rock. What is going on here? Here you have the famous slides, so people will slide down these tubulars. To me, this looks like volcanic rock, so maybe at ancient time there's a volcano here. Who knows? But then from that top of here,
oh yeah,
you see Sexy Woman. Okay. So look at the size of the people on the side of the stones around them.
They're literally the stone megalithic blocks are literally larger than the people.
Yeah, what is this? The Olympic stairs? Bronze, gold.
Right, like, and how high are those like cuts? Like several feet, or
that's probably a meter between each. Yeah. And you're down at the wall itself. Sorry, what's going on here? Here I am standing in front of one of the pieces to show you scale and size. These things are massive. Sexy Woman blew my mind. Yusuf and I almost missed the bus because we were looking at a wall like this, and he and I were sitting there for literally 20 minutes. And Yusuf, because he's from Egypt, he's like, they would have put this up in one piece. They would have lifted it all up in one piece. This was something that was laid out on the ground and lifted. He's like, the story that they're telling us that they used these certain tools and made sure that everything fit snugly. No, this was all laid out on the ground and put up as one piece. And you kind of see it. It's weird. This is the what they call the minister or the abbot, whatever. He's got his hand forward. But on the right here, you see how these things interlock. And how are you doing this? Seriously, how are you building all these constructs? I think this is the wall that Yusuf and I were looking at for eons. He was just like, they had to put this up in one piece.
Yeah. Or poured.
So I would be about this high on here. You can see where my cursor is.
Yeah.
Those are massive, each one of these
12 to 15 foot walls.
Yeah, and this is like, a 100-ton piece right here. Some of the corner pieces that you see are massive, right? So anyway. Just showing you guys.
Oh
And then
yeah,
you have these weird waterways that would come through as well.
right. Like engineered piping structures or electrical or something, right? Like they had to have purpose and function.
Anyway, that's the end of my tour with that one.
Absolutely
But
amazing,
just
Robin.
to show you guys, a little bit of Peru, because Peru is, you go there with 100 questions and your BS meter in the red, and you leave with your BS meter shattered and 1,000 questions. What am I looking at? How is this even possible? And a lot of people claim this is all geopolymer, but I disagree with that. It's all cut out of, it's not andesite. I'm trying to think of the stone. It actually comes from 3 valleys away where all this stone comes from. So they're not only hauling this across valleys, they're hauling it up and over mountains to get it to Cusco, above Cusco.
Right.
Because
And
Cusco is at
wow.
11,000 feet and Sacsayhuaman's at 13,000 feet. So go figure.
So that's your last picture in the
It
presentation.
is. Yeah.
Before you
In
stop
this one.
sharing, I'm just going to load, and I believe it was not sure that suggested or Fourth Wiseman, not sure probably. But here we go. Boom. These are bagged concrete walls from today and looking decently
Similar, but not as precise. Yeah.
right? But we don't have the same level of technology as them. But it's a potential.
So the question is, was there geopolymer used? And as you cited at that site across from the cave,
Yeah, completely different style, right?
very different style, and it looks like a geopolymer or some sort of poured concrete. But then let's look at the history of concrete, right?
Exactly. And that you've actually been there and looked at them and seen the difference between the cut marks inside and what is the bedrock, and compared to what actually looks like cast concrete that's actually showing the indentations of the forms that they would have been poured into.
Correct. Oh yeah, just beyond fascinating. And so my question to you is, do you see alchemical symmetry or symbology in any of this?
I do see an alchemical process, and has to do with my discoveries of the electrochemical breakdown and recrystallization processes of metal elements, and then connecting that into the minerals themselves. And I tie it back also to the work of Bob Greenier with the wind hex device, which it's
I'm gonna look that up.
yeah. And so what it is it doesn't require electricity. It's able to spin the air into these fast moving counter vortices that then break down the ionic bonds of rock, turning it into powder. And that would be the process that they would be able to have used potentially. And he suggests or theorizes in the work with the wind hex that it was the process utilized by some of the ancient technology.
Well, they use
able
today for oil extraction and other like land formation, right? Correct.
something similar, but this is like a new technology that essentially is just using the power of the vortex, or like tornado spin, and the level of wind and charge that is created in
Not
the
to be
rotation.
confused with Amico's Wintex technology, which is all about soil sampling. But
Oh,
yeah,
I'm unaware of that.
oh
Interesting.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
I was doing a quick search on this, and that's what comes up as Wintex Corporation. So,
Fascinating. I'd not heard of that one. Could be.
Wintex device can refer to a few different products from Windex Agro, atomic soil samplers, or software used for installing and commissioning Texcom alarm systems. Oh, how interesting.
Yeah, that's news to me. I've only heard of it through the Martin Fleischmann Memorial Project, and fascinating. We're gonna have to look more into that afterwards. When
Everything is usurped, my friend. Everything is usurped. Yep.
Oh, exactly. Indeed, it is. Okay. Where did you still have a second?
I do. It's kind of the connections of com. Let me see if I can load this. I do that last time. Oh yeah, I switched screens. That's right. uh, window. Hmm. Cancel. Let me see if it's still in my PowerPoint presentation list. I'll close this out. Save. Windows. Open reset. There we go. Com. What? Magic. Got it. So this is just, I did this on Walter Bosley's show. So
Hey, I don't mind hijacking content. Just
no, it's not hijacking at all. I'm just sharing it.
Hey, it's your presentation, and love Walter Bosley and need to do more with him. Yes, and showing essentially connecting the Vedic.
Yeah. So this was the whole idea around com. Hold on. Let me see if I can make sure I can maximize this for you. So here we have a structure in ancient India. Here we have a structure in Cambodia in the middle, and we have the observatory in Chichen Itza. Yep.
I was like, I've been there. I recognize that.
Just so we don't get a weird fold. Let me go back to my presentation. Hold on a second.
No problem.
Too many windows open, my friend. Too many windows.
I understand.
There it is. All right. So you can see similarities between Vedic structures, Cambodian structures, and this. It's the only circular structure at Chichen Itza, and in the Mayan culture, they call it the observatory, but it very much represents similarities to this other structure. So when you're at Chichen Itza, the tour guides don't take you to a specific spot, and Chichen Itza is huge. It's like Karnak in Egypt. So
yeah.
You could spend a week at Karnak and not see all of it if you're just trying to read the walls and trying to see all the structures. Chichen Itza is the same way. There's even a cenote there. I didn't even know that was there, but there's a magical cenote there.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I know there was a couple of caves or cave system that I got to go in a little bit of, but was unaware that there's actually a cenote.
I had no idea that there was either, but it's there. Yeah, there's a massive cenote. So just looking at how these structures are similar, when you go around past, this structure on the right, you end up in the middle of the jungle the tour guides don't take you there. And there's a temple that has this glyph on it on all four corners.
Yes, and they
This
try to claim it's for kicking heads through for their game, but clearly
no,
heads don't fit through that.
it's an elephant glyph. Yeah. Sorry to say, folks, but this is an elephant. I mean, you can kind of see the person riding it, the trunk. You don't see
Oh, I
this.
see what you're saying.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's an
Okay.
elephant glyph. Oh, it's a hand reaching out to God. No, it's not. Because when you go around the corner from this, you have this structure. This is a Buddhist relic. This is someone
What?
sitting in meditation above the lintel of the
Absolutely.
temple next to this. Yeah.
That is a yoga position of what?
So what is that? And so the whole idea is we're trying to connect the ancient Kham culture. So one of the oldest ancient Kham structures is actually in Iran. But the Kham also relate to the Kem of ancient Egypt. And so it's like the Egyptians moved across the land through Iran into India, into Tibet, into China, into, all of the island groups around there as an influential culture. And so here we have a direct depiction of this in Mexico at Chichen Itza. So,
That's wild.
damn it. Sorry.
No worries, my friend.
Wrong screen. So here again, we have these two structures or gourds that we find in Peru that depict a dragon. Dragon is not a South American motif.
Undeniable. That is definitely a dragon serpent.
And neither is
The mammoth mastodon.
the mammoth mastodon. So here we have Asian and North American motifs in South America. Again, these three, which I showed earlier, are very Asian.
Yeah, they are. Wow, are they ever?
So then we have these massive ball structures. These are actually in Indonesia versus the ball structures that we find in Costa Rica, right?
Oh yeah.
So these aren't actually balls, but they're massive gourds that are under the earth versus something similar that we find in Costa Rica. Yeah, there are similarities here. I'm not saying that they're exactly the same, but come
We
on.
find them all.
We're finding similar things under the ground or above ground that have representation.
I believe there's also lots in like Micronesia and
Oh, correct.
a couple other
Yes, correct.
Bosnia. They found them as well, and a couple other all over really. I believe.
Correct. So the last slide here is just connecting facial structures. So you have the massive Buddhist / Hindu relics at Cambodia, at Angkor Wat, and outside of Angkor Wat. These are huge and they're perfect, but they're made out of sandstone. Okay, the one in the middle is the Shangxing Dui culture out of central China, which was discovered, I want to say, in the 90s. And they have these massive, they're huge, they're the same size as some of these other structures or other depictions.
Right? Like, yeah, that's a
But
giant
they're
bronze,
made out of
right?
they're made out of bronze, exactly, correct. And then you have the Olmecs in the upper right, and you have what you see in Egypt in the lower right as well. And so these are all very similarly sized, and the perfection on them is unbelievable. So
perfect symmetry as
This is me trying to connect the comm
Christopher
culture.
Dunn
Yeah. The
showed
comm
with
culture throughout Asia all the way into Central and South America.
I fully agree. And the one in the middle,
Obviously, they're all different dates. We don't know the Olmec. We don't know how old the Olmec sculptures are. The Egyptian sculptures could be much
we
older.
like really we don't
came
know
and
how
put
old
his
any.
Ramses came and put his name on everything. So they're like, oh, this is Ramses the second. Yeah, but every sculpture of him looks different. So he just engraved his name on all of it because once they found it, he's like, "This is a depiction of me," or I'm tagging my mark for graffiti artists out there on this sculpture.
Exactly.
We don't see that with any of these other cultures, and so it's like some of these are old, some of these are older, and yeah. Anyway, just throwing
That
that out there.
no, fully relevant and accurate, and that it leads to that these are all most likely from a pre-cataclysm worldwide civilization that had the means and the technologies of making these macro carving structures or
The
deities, whatever
Shang
they
Dewey
are.
is the most fascinating because they would do this all in bronze, and these are huge masks. Like, why?
Right? Like,
What is the purpose? But they're doing it in bronze. They're not doing it in stone. Every other culture is doing it in stone. But the one in the center, the Shang Dewey culture is mind-boggling. They look very alien in their representation of themselves.
right? And
Just saying. Anyway.
no, fully accurate observations, and an observation that I just can't help but notice. If you don't mind zooming in on the Shang Zhui one a bit, and for those familiar with original Simpsons episodes, there's one episode
Oh, really? All
where
right.
Homer does something that like benefits Mr. Burns, and Mr. Burns gets Smithers to deliver this crazy expensive artifact that literally is a giant head that looks exactly like the Shang Tsui one, I believe. Right? Like, if I'm not mistaken, it's been many years since I've seen it, but definitely some similarities in just this giant metallic face carving that was
Oh, it's
ancient.
huge. This thing's like 7 feet tall. So it's like, what is going on here? Why? What is the depiction?
Right in the square, perfect square in the center forehead, and like the straight, like almost cat-like eyes ish, like beyond slanty, almost alien-like, right? Like,
Well, that's why I say when you look at all of their art, they have masks, they have armored masks. That's look up the Shang Dewey culture, folks. So you'll be blown away by what you'll find.
how do I spell that?
Um, ZXIANG
Oh,
SHI.
XIZ.
It'll come up in your thing. Yeah. XIANG Shang Zing. Yeah. Dewey culture. Just yeah.
No.
Find it for you. Hold on.
I think I spelled it wrong. Oh, maybe this one?
No, it keeps coming to Shangdu culture. My chicken, why is this not? Goddamn Google. They're censoring it all.
Right? Seems to often be the case.
So XING or DUI.
Do you mind posting it into the private chats? So
Hold on 1 second. Let me do image search.
yeah.
That's what I want. Boom, copy. Am I still sharing? I don't think I am.
No, you're not. You stopped the share.
It shows me that I am. Weird. All right.
Oh, no.
No, here we are. Hold on. I'll put it in the private chat. Yep.
There. Thank you, admin. Aha. Share this tab instead. There we go.
Look at some of this stuff, and you're gonna scratch your head. It's like, what in the F are we looking at here? And this is, after Mao died, they discovered this. So obviously they might have discovered it before he died, but
Weren't allowed to make it public.
yeah, these what's going on here? Yeah, exactly. Correct.
Oh, showing a bunch of mounds / pyramids in the area too. Oh,
Wait,
and
this is
why are there squares and rectangles throughout different
what's up with
parts?
the horn eyes? That's another thing. Go back up.
These guys?
No, the one on the left. Yeah, exactly. So here
Yeah.
you have these horned eyes. I click on that because you're in images, and then right click and open image in a new tab.
And it just gives me a smaller picture. What the F? They really don't want us taking a
But
close look.
what is the question? Why do they have these bulging eyes? Exactly, right here, lower right in the middle.
Right? And
What's going on there? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, what's going on there? Come on.
X-ray eyes or
No vision quest. Seriously.
right?
Plus
Yeah.
the central motif of the open square. So you have the pineal gland being activated through eyes that project forward, right?
Interesting. Never thought of it like that. Brilliant songs.
But they're not all like this. That's the thing. That one right there is really amazing. It's like this
That's looking
blade
almost,
that comes out of the forehead. What does that represent? It's like activation on an extreme level of some sorts.
dragon.
This doesn't match anything that you see in China, but this is in the middle of China. It's actually near where the Tropa come from in the Bayan mountain range. Very close to this.
Fascinating. And almost more similarities to what you were showing and finding in South America.
Kind
And
of, yeah. There's a
America,
lot, and
almost.
that's why I'm convinced that there was cross pollination across the oceans. We're always told that the oceans were not. They were barriers, not roads, but I think they were roads. You can travel the trade currents, as I proved with Admiral Maui. Maui himself traveled literally around Australia to New Zealand and traveled to Santiago to Chile. Unified Tonga, went up to Hawaii, Easter Island, all the way up to Alaska. Okay, so we have this Admiral of the Seas from Egypt in 232 BC Mahui, who becomes this god of the ocean for the Polynesian culture that they call Maui. And so,
Little hard to deny that reference similarity. And look, it looks like there was blue covering with gold on them potentially on some.
oh yeah, of course, these things are amazing. These figurines are about head size, but the other ones are huge. Yeah,
Fascinating.
these are all head sized, but the ones I was showing earlier, this is like huge. That's 6 foot tall and
What?
probably 10 foot wide.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
made out of bronze.
Bronze.
So yeah. But just look at the symbology on the ears, all the pieces. Yeah, it's right there. I'm fascinated by this culture, by the way, folks. I know nothing about it because a lot of us
Me
don't know
too.
anything about it.
I don't, right? Like, I don't think there's much known about it just in general. Or,
Well, they have speculation or concept theory, but hey, you get it. They even had marketing materials.
right? Like,
That's like small marketing
wild.
objects. Yeah.
Oh, cultural products inspired by.
Oh well, there you go. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I was like, wait, they're already marketing that shit. Of course they are.
Of course. Of course they are.
But they found all these figurines and all these heads that some of them are huge and some of them are like these that you're seeing here that are life size. And so, what is this representing? This is,
And
yeah.
that they found it all allegedly in a giant pit, right? And like
Yep.
that most were smashed and destroyed along with like massacred population or something like that. It's like they were completely eradicated and intentionally
But
hidden.
this doesn't fit any of the Chinese culture, which is why it's bizarre. And it comes out of a region literally 100 to 150 kilometers from where the Dropa stones were found, or the what I
Very
call
fascinating.
the localized translation of the Dropa stones. Right.
Oops, I thought I was sharing, but it
You
wasn't
were.
sharing.
Okay.
Oh, it just stopped. Okay, my bad. My bad. So I was sharing this. Oops. All right, and that yourself and myself both recognized that one of the masks in Mike Forrest's collection resembles these Shang Dewey masks.
Correct.
Significantly. And that one was like made of jade or something, I do believe.
A lot of them are jade, and a lot of them are a brass mixture. And so the brass is interesting because there we have alchemistry and metallurgy, right? Yep.
Absolutely. Super fascinating. And that's looking almost South American like. Some major resemblances and also potentially some Egyptian similarities.
Oh, correct. Yeah, big time. That's why I connect this culture with the calm, even though we don't know a lot about this culture. But how old is it, and what is it? What is its lineage? And then how far back do you go back, and how far east do you, or west do you keep going, right? Yeah.
Then it has circled the world essentially by what the similarities that we're finding and demonstrating. Like lots of aspects are clearly seen in all parts of the world of other ancient lost cultures, and there are
I'll be back in a sec, mate. Hold on.
no worries. Just it's mesmerizing, fascinating, and truly, truly mysterious of how and why. What? Shang Zhui bronze statue? Was this also found? Because that's clearly Shiva, right? Like, I'm now confused. Are those remakes? Are these from different culture, or is that actually also recovered from the Shang Zhui artifacts and dig? I'm not
No,
entirely
there's a central statue that
like
is
this
part of
one.
it. That's not. Yeah, no,
That's
that's
not okay. That's what I was wondering. Like, okay, that's
they might have found that there. That would be interesting. But the
right.
one that's amazing is this. It's like a tree of life statue. That
Oh, really?
oh yeah,
Egyptian stees.
no, but more in their cultural style.
Okay, gotcha.
I'll see if I can find it and send it to you.
That's looking pretty South American-esque style. And then, okay, Iran, never mind. That was just at a Chinese museum. They
I have a
clickbaited me.
star wheel, which is interesting, but then they also have this.
Much love.
There.
Forrest Wiseman, thanks for joining. Thank you all for joining tonight. Yes, Adman, right? Mystery history. Very highly compelling. We find this highly compelling.
Alchemy.
Definitely do.
It's not letting me post it.
What?
Go,
Savages.
go back out to your Shang Tsung Dewey images.
This one. Uh-oh. This one.
That's the one right there. Yep. Mystery 2,000-year-old. The one to the right.
This guy.
No.
This one.
Yeah, correct.
This guy. I see.
That's one of them, but there's another one that's like a tree of life, which is very interesting. Oh, scroll down.
Aliens or
Go back up. Go back up. Sorry. That go down one image. That shows you how big those things are.
right?
So they're
Like
not 6. They're not 6 foot. But
some are, but that one specifically looks 3 or 4 feet.
still huge. Now we're getting into
They're-
Anunnaki territory. There.
Yeah, they're comparing. Here we go. This is the one.
Correct. Right click, open it, and a new image.
If it's gonna let me, yeah, same size. Oh, here we go. Never mind. Let's me zoom in. And look at this. This looks like different
That's why I'm
hieroglyphics.
zoom into that. Yeah, zoom into it.
That's the most it will let me zoom in, savages. But
So this also held an object, and there's another one that's a tree. I'm not
they
seeing it.
probably ain't letting that one out.
There's another one that's like the cosmic tree, and so that one is the most fascinating out of all of them.
Why
Go
won't
back,
they
go
show
back
it?
in your search.
Back to this one.
Nope. Go to the left side and scroll. I was like, scroll down here.
What?
That's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, right click on it, open it as a new image.
There we go. It's like a bird almost, a potential phoenix, maybe.
Hey.
But,
Yeah.
oh, but yeah, I see what you're saying. And look at wow, a wee That is a very
Big
fascinating
question. What is this culture and why are they in the middle of central China? And
Absolutely.
unrelated to anything else around them. So that's the huge question.
And why were they completely wiped out as well and essentially hidden and written out of the history? It's a true mystery.
There's another structure that's like a tree structure. It's not this one.
Oh, okay.
It's not actually a figure.
Gotcha. Now I want to and need to find it, but we are sadly running out of time as we only
No
have
worries.
2 minutes
I'm so
left.
glad I could share this with everybody because this is,
Truly
cultural
appreciate it.
symbology that none of us have really paid attention to. So, yeah.
Aha, I think I found it. Uh-oh. It's on Facebook. Uh-oh. Is it gonna even load it for me? Come on, come on. This guy right here is what you're
Yes,
talking about.
correct. That's the one. That's the one.
Here we
So
go.
right click on that and open it as a new image. Yeah. Just right click on it.
And
Open
stupid
image
Oh,
in a new tab. Yeah.
here we go.
Bingo. Yeah.
Oh
What is that?
wow. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Good call, Hans. What indeed?
What is going on there?
Truly, like,
Can you right click on it and open it as a new image?
negative. This is what it gave me when I did that. Oh, but we can do that.
Yeah, exactly. Get rid of that other BS on the right.
Look at
Yeah. So what is going on here? So
that's wild.
and each
Looks
level
like-
has its own language type that's associating with it. So look at the bottom of that on the left. I'll go up right there in the central left portion. Follow that down. Yep. Follow that down. What is that? Right.
Ah, I see what you're
And you
saying.
see that on all the tiers. So it's a question. Is that a language? Is that a depiction of something? You see it on the top tiers as well. Yeah.
Good call. Good catch. Fascinating stuff. All right. On that note, gotta end it. Love y'all. We're at 2 hours. We'll do it again next week. Ta ta.
Appreciate sharing some of the
Crazy mother. Yeah.